that everything is really relative. Everything is relative. I'm sure many of you have heard this anecdote joke that says that from Adam on, life was all about paradise. From Abraham on, life was all about chesed, acts of benevolence. From Moses on, life was all about the law. He was the lawgiver. From Jesus on, life was all about love, because with love you can do anything and everything. And from Karl Marx on, life was all about capital and money. And from Freud on, life was all about sex. That seems to have lingered even until our days. And from Einstein on, life is all relevant. Everything is relevant. And I don't mean just the theory of relativity of Einstein, but everything seemed to be relevant in the era that we live in. You know, when they had a poll on high school students if it was okay to steal a pen or pencil or to hide some of the property of your classmate. And their answer was most of the time, depends. It depends. Depends on what? Well, if they're my friend, it's not good to do. It's not nice. But if they're not my friend, it's okay. So everything has become really relative. And even morality and ethics in our era has become relative to the fads of the day, to the fad of the location, of the region. And there has been difficulty finding a compass, a non-movable compass, especially when it comes to morality and ethics. Again, another poll was taken several years ago. One of them was taken around the 1950s, if I recall, not that I was alive then, but I recall reading it about it. And the major complaints that teacher had in their classrooms was that the students were chewing gum, or the students were not paying attention, or the students were talking to each other during class. And this latest poll a few years ago, the complaints of the teacher was, well, you know, the students are carrying a gun, or they're stabbing each other, you know, with a knife, or they're lying about their homework, so on and so forth. And so we see that life has become very different, especially when it comes to morality and ethics. And that compass has been ever moving, that for us old-fashioned or people that are rooted in tradition, we see that to be a bit scary, a bit concerning, because we don't know where that compass is going to go. And so far, the way it has been going, it's not much to our pleasing, I must say. Well, Parashah of this week and next week's Parashah, by the way, in the diaspora, we are reading one Parashah, and in Israel, they're reading another Parashah. In the diaspora, we're reading Acharei Mot, that speaks about after the death of the children of Aharon. And in Israel, they'll be reading Parashat Kedoshim, which means to be holy. But really both speak about that sense of holiness, which we understand to be moral and ethical behavior. And that is an absolute compass that we find in the Parashah. A compass that cannot be moved because of the fad of the day, or of an opinion of an influencer, of an opinion of a socialite, or what's accepted in that era or that region, or what's popular, or what's desirable for some people or group of people. But it's an absolute compass, a compass that we believe is a divine compass of proper moral and ethical behavior, a way in which we treat our friends, our society, another human being, and the way in which we treat the sacrosanct bond of marriage, in a way in which we treat people in our family. But we have heard so many alarming behavior in our society, in our time, all over the world, in which that respect for tradition, that respect for a moral compass that is absolute and it's not relative, it's something that it ought to concern all of us. And I only wish that if humanity in general can just pick up uh, this week's and next week's parashot and read them and understand what is to be holy, what God Almighty asks from us to be. And holiness, I guess, for many of us, immediately we conjure or we think of a halo around our head, somebody who is ascetic in the mountains of the Himalayas, like the Dalai Lama or all these monks. No, that's not what the Torah asks us to be holy about. To be holy is to be moral, to be ethical, but not based on the moral fads of the day, of the era that we live in, but an absolute divine compass that our holy books write about and demand of us to maintain, to keep, so our society, all of humanity, can be holy. Let us hope and pray that we can go back to those holy books, to that tradition, to those principles that should really be unshakable and unmovable, and not relative, but absolute. Shabbat Shalom and Chodesh Tov. Happy new month of Iyar.